Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Estate Planning Expert Series. Today's episode is called The Power of Partnership in Estate Planning. And I'm so excited to introduce our guest, Al Faber, who is a financial advisor, and he's based out of Los Angeles, California, the fabulous Los Angeles. Al is the founder of Do It With You Financial Planning, and he's actually a member on the Trust and Will Expert Contributor Advisor panel. So he's authored several articles on the Trust and Will Learn Center. He's put out great content to help other financial advisors grow with estate planning, and also for consumers who are looking online to learn more about the topic of estate planning. He has given so much of his time and help to our audiences. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Thanks for being here. And just in case anyone's wondering, what are we really going to dive in today? We're going to talk a little bit about how Al has integrated estate planning into his financial advisory business. We'll talk a little bit about the role technology plays in that process. And then Al has some advice for any other advisors who are tuning in with us today who maybe haven't gotten started yet, or maybe you just started and you don't really know what you're totally doing just yet. So Al, thank you for your time. Let's jump right into the first question I have for you. You've made estate planning a key part of your client experience at Do It With You Financial Planning. By the way, I love the firm name. So what initially motivated you to make that shift, and how has it changed the way you serve your clients since you started offering estate planning?
Sure. Well, it was funny. It wasn't a conscious shift per se.
Okay.
It was a natural evolution of doing comprehensive planning, right? I think on some level, all advisors are doing estate planning because we're asking clients about their family, their loved ones, the causes they care about. And so as part of that conversation, it just leads into the next natural question is, great, you've told me who you care about and the causes you care about. Have you documented those wishes of what you want to happen? God forbid you become incapacitated or should pass away.
Right. It's like, what are you actually doing to make sure these people are protected? Your legacy is protected. You're
Right.
so right. I often say financial advisors, they are estate planners, right? The term estate planner doesn't mean you're necessarily an attorney, right? Those are estate planning attorneys,
Right.
but you're still helping plan through this process and plan to protect their estate. So let's dive a little deeper into your firm name, the Do It With You Financial Planning. Again, it's one of my top favorites I've seen to date. It says a lot about your philosophy, obviously. So how does that collaborative advice-only model show up when you're guiding clients through the estate planning process and through those decisions?
Yeah. So one of the shifts, for example, my firm is an advice-only financial planning firm, meaning I don't take assets and manage them for clients. I work with clients. And so the name made sense from that perspective. But also, when you go from folks that are delegators to folks that are more collaborators or validators, like they need to understand what they're doing because they're, in a lot of cases, executing documents, pushing the buttons on the things they're doing to execute their plan. And so it was a natural evolution to go from, education, right? And to your point, like I'm not an estate planning attorney in the same way I'm not a tax attorney or a tax preparer, but I still educate clients about taxes. So all things connected to them in their planning. And by the way, clients are already doing some estate planning on their own, right? Whether it's how they title documents or accounts or how they name beneficiaries, right? And so it's a natural part of the conversation. And we often as advisors will find mistakes. A key one, right, that we all see is that when we're going through the beneficiary designations, people are naming minor children, right? That's usually a key point to say, okay, you've done some estate planning. Did you get some guidance in terms of naming a minor child as a beneficiary? Because they can't inherit directly.
Yeah. There's a follow-up to that. There's a process around that. So you're like you said, it's naturally becoming part of the conversation. It's naturally raising questions, talking points. Do you find as well just the topic of discussing children in the estate planning aspect of what they're doing on their own, their planning, that's helping you kind of grow those relationships there with potentially those children, the next generations?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the key shifts in the way I introduce estate planning, because I don't really talk about estate planning per se. Like I said, I talk about the people and the causes they care about, right? And if you've talked to anyone that's gone through the loss of a loved one, and typically it's going to be a parent or a grandparent, and start asking about how was that process, right? First of all, it's a time of great grief. It can be very stressful. And also it's a time of a lot of confusion because no one knows where things are or what they owned and those kind of things. And so I kind of use that And it's funny because a lot of the conversations are usually not necessarily the people themselves, because a lot of my clients are in, in an age range where there's not an imminent risk necessarily of death or divorce, although we never know what's going to happen. But
Yeah.
they're dealing with parents or grandparents, right? And they want to make sure that two things, that the people they care about are getting the care and the love and respect they need and want at a time when they're going through a transition, right? But also, we never know when things might happen, right? We all get on the road every day and there are accidents. And so we never know when it could be us. And so we want to be prepared to help our loved ones avoid that stress and confusion.
100%. Now, I love how you've embraced technology in your practice, especially on the topic of estate planning. How do you find that using tools like Trust and Will has helped make the experience for your clients more efficient, but also more transparent?
Yeah, so it's been key for me. One of the issues traditionally with estate planning in particular and the document creation is that it's been a process that's been fairly complex. It generally involved going to an attorney's office for what could be many hours. And as a result, ended up being fairly expensive, right? By using technology, we make that process much more efficient. Yeah. It's also much more convenient. So my clients can do this not necessarily in one sitting, but they can do it over time in the comfort of their home. And then they can check in with me or someone else if they have questions about, what these phrases mean or these documents, or to get through the plan. So it's made it much easier for people to actually get the documents completed. And then when it comes to execution of signatures, Trust and Will makes it super simple, right? Some platforms allow clients to print out the documents, but that's yet another barrier for some folks, right? Trust and Will actually sends the documents, which makes it super simple.
I totally agree. And plus it's in like a beautiful packet and everybody likes getting that to their door. So, so many good points, especially the point on convenience. Convenience is everything. So I want to shift a little bit because we talked about education and that's such a big part of this and how you work with your clients. But there comes a point where, as a financial planner and not an estate planning attorney, you have to draw the line. And I think many advisors out there, they hesitate to bring up estate planning because they think it's going to lead to just these complex legal conversations that they really shouldn't get involved in. So what has worked for you, for Al, in making these discussions simple and confidence building for clients?
Yeah, and I think where it can be a gray area, but if you want to try to keep the line tight and clear, if you focus on education about the purpose and the types of documents, as opposed to telling a client what they might or might not need or want, that helps you stay out of trouble, right? And the other thing that I like about this is it's a very scalable process, because quite frankly, to keep yourself out of trouble, if you were to do a presentation not to one person, but to a group of 10 or 20 or 30, right, you're answering general questions, not specific, and that keeps you out of trouble, which makes the process very scalable. And then through a platform like Trust and Will, if they're in the platform, I can actually see their progress, right? So then if there's individual follow-up needed, there's a way to do that after a group encounter.
Yeah, and you can contact an attorney on Trust and Will, right? If the questions become more complex and your situation becomes more complex, we have an entire attorney network to tap into. So I think that's really, really important. Thank you for sharing that. I had a note on that I wanted to share. The group presentations. I think this is such a good point. And I think this is why I have met a lot of advisors who've had so much success doing, like, not just on the prospect side, like seminar marketing, but just educational webinars for their clients on the topic of estate planning. Right. They use that as a starting point, and then the clients say, okay, I'm ready to tap into this, and I know I need to get my plan updated, or I need to get my plan created. And then that technology just kind of fits in beautifully, and then that attorney support as well. So you start here and then kind of let the technology guide them through.
Exactly. And what's great about Trust and Will, like in a normal presentation like that, the next step would be, okay, click here to book an appointment, where I can say, click here to access a questionnaire. You can actually start the process.
Yep. It's all digital and it's available. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So the last question I usually ask on this episode, on this show, is for advisors who haven't yet added estate planning. Maybe they're hesitant. Maybe they really just don't know where to start. Maybe they're like so far removed that they didn't even know this was a thing, because there still are advisors that don't really understand. This has become part of the service model for advisors in a sense of technology, right? What advice would you give them based on your own experience?
Yeah, there are so many resources that are available. So if an advisor is not sure how to begin, all these platforms, including Trust and Will, host educational events for advisors and have content on the site so that advisors can become more comfortable with the subject matter, right? There's also other advisors. Like, I'm an independent advisor, advice only. I collaborate with other advisors.
Yep.
So quite frankly, shameless plug, anyone has a question, feel free to find me and reach out. I'd be happy to help and have a conversation around that.
I love the shameless plug. Give it where you can. And Al, you're such a resource, even, working with us at Trust and Will and using the Trust and Will technology and going out and advocating. It makes the industry better on all sides, right? The consumer side and the advisor side. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on today, especially at 7 a.m. your time in LA, and sharing with our audience all the experiences that you've been through. As I mentioned, you definitely helped shape this industry. You're such a delight to work with. Thank you. Thank you. And to our audience, if you're interested in learning more about Trust and Will, you can actually scan the QR code right here on the bottom of the screen, or just head over to trustandwill.com/advisors to learn more about how we can help you better help your clients. Al,